Holly Benson served as Secretary of the Agency for Healthcare Administration, ACA, who Michael works for. In that role, Secretary Benson worked to significantly reduce Medicaid fraud and to hold healthcare providers accountable. In addition, she worked to streamline the regulatory process and reduce the regulatory burden for providers and consumers while never compromising the safeguards protecting the health and well-being of patients. Prior to her appointment as Secretary of ACA, Secretary Benson served as Secretary of the Department of Business and Professional Regulation. As head of the DBPR, she led a team that improved customer service and reduced the red tape taxes that drive up costs for Florida's businesses and professionals. The department is responsible for licensing over 1 million Floridians, from your nail techs to everything, yes. Before her appointment to the governor's cabinet, Secretary Benson served the people of Pensacola and Gulf Breeze for 6 years as a representative in the Florida House of Representatives. During her tenure in the legislature, Secretary Benson earned a reputation for tackling tough issues. And if you don't think Medicaid fraud is a tough issue, that was very tough while she was Secretary of ACA. Secretary Benson is a graduate of Dartmouth College and the University of Florida, go Gators. Are there any Seminoles running? She practiced municipal bond law with Miller, Canfield, Paddock, and Stone from 1996 to her appointment as Secretary of DBPR. So I want you all to welcome Secretary Holly Benson.
Back in Broward County. I was down here last week for the Republican Business Network where I got to hear all the judicial candidates for the first time.
We apologize for that.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. But it's nice to be back among friends. You know, for years when I was in Tallahassee, I learned about the Broward conspiracy from leaders like Senator Lemieux and Shane Strum. And they taught me about how you all do business here and how you change the trend of the Republican Party across the state. So thank you for all your leadership, and it's so nice to put faces with all of the stories. Well, as Cindy read off, you know, I've spent about 10 years in public life, and I spent a lot of time traveling the state, listening to the stories of the people I served. And as I traveled, they all told me about the reasons they came to our beautiful state, whether to raise a family, or start a small business, or even spend their retirement years. Their version of the Florida dream. But lately their optimism has been waning. I think about a guy I met, his name's Fred. He owned a little seafood shack out on the beach. Maybe if you all picture the elbow room, you'll have a picture of it in your mind, right? And look, for years regulation increased, Fred complied. Fees and taxes went up, Fred paid. Then in 2004, a hurricane hit. A direct hit, he lost everything. Fred wanted to rebuild quickly to get his families back on the payroll. But at first, he encountered layer after layer of local and state red tape. Then he turned to the banks. They knew he was a good credit risk, but they couldn't figure out, after all those bailouts and buyouts and the backlash from overregulation, how to lend him the money. Fred just gave up. And there are too many stories like Fred's all across the state. Entrepreneurs who know how to get our economy back on track, but who are frustrated by a government that is growing out of control and spending out of line with our priorities. And they are all worried about the true costs of federal health care reform. You know, over 2 centuries ago, Alexis de Tocqueville warned, he said, "The American Republic will endure until Congress discovers that it can bribe the public with the public's money." And the bribe just got a whole lot bigger. As President Obama decided to deliver on his campaign promise of universal health care, you all watched as I did this March, as one by one they baited reluctant Democrats with little bits of pork in their district. And on one Sunday in March, they took that fateful vote to lead us down the slippery slope towards socialized medicine. One congressman stood up and he said, "We are rapidly approaching the tipping point where more Americans will depend on the federal government than on themselves for their livelihoods. And if we ever cross that point, the consequences will be felt by every American, every generation to come, unless we act." And right now, ladies and gentlemen, we have a chance. As Cindy mentioned, immediately after the passage of Obamacare, General McCollum stood up and filed a lawsuit in my hometown of Pensacola challenging health care reform. The two Democrats in this race have already announced that if they're elected, they'll drop this suit. We must win, and I am ready. In the Florida House, I made healthcare my specialty. I worked with Governor Bush to transform our Medicaid program. We based our reforms on market principles and personal responsibility, and you know what? It worked. We actually saved taxpayers money and improved access to healthcare. And you know what else we discovered? We figured out that if you want true comprehensive healthcare reform, you must have comprehensive tort reform. Then I served as Secretary of the Agency for Healthcare Administration, where I oversaw the state's $18 billion Medicaid program. There I saw firsthand the complexities involved in a government-run health insurance program. Make no mistake about it, a government-run universal health care program will ultimately result in less access to innovation in treatments and care. In addition, what we have found is treatable conditions here like breast and cervical cancer are often death sentences in Western Europe. I actually do read healthcare policy occasionally for fun, and there's a guy who wrote, he said, the problem with expanding government's role as a healthcare payer is that unlimited access to nothing is still nothing. We will ultimately wreck the best healthcare system in the world. And what's even worse than that, our Constitution will be left in tatters. This violates the Commerce Clause. Never before has the federal government been able to compel us to purchase something simply for the act of existing. And it violates the 10th Amendment because it represents a massive, unfunded mandate to the states. Rahm Emanuel, as you know, is Barack Obama's chief of staff, and he summed up their philosophy this way: never let a good crisis go to waste. So what's next? Look, in August and again in November, we will make a choice. Will we choose the path of more government or more freedom? I am very proud to be part of a new generation of Republican leaders. I was elected with people like Marco Rubio and Adam Putnam. We were elected on principles of less government, lower taxes, more freedom. We tested those principles in the Florida House, and now we've come of political age and are ready to lead. I am proud to be conservative. I'm pro-life, rated A+ by the NRA, and like my mentor Jeb Bush, from the tips of my toes to the top of my head, I'm a free market capitalist. Now, as some of your friends up north, more in the Jacksonville area, like to tell me, I'm a Bible-thumping, gun-toting, capitalist pig. I think that's what you call the North Florida conspiracy meets the Broward conspiracy, right? Look, nothing that the next Attorney General takes on will be of the magnitude of this healthcare lawsuit, but know this, my everyday mission will be to put the bad guys behind bars and put the good guys back to work. I will make sure that we have laws with teeth so that Sheriff Liberty can keep our neighborhoods and families safe. I will create a regulatory strike force to eliminate unnecessary regulation and red tape that is stifling entrepreneurs across our state. And oh, by the way, I will fight for tort reform. We discovered down here that we're home to whocanisue.com. Let's boot them out. Look. You know, we spent a lot of time crisscrossing the state, and I think it was somewhere on I-4 that we saw the bumper stickers that said, if you're not mad, you're not paying attention. And maybe some folks weren't. Maybe they thought the stimulus money would help get people back on their feet. Maybe they blinked at the bailouts and the buyouts, or even cashed in their clunkers. But ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to an initiative to socialize 1/6 of our economy, to wreck our healthcare system, it is time to draw a line in the sand. Ladies and gentlemen, if you believe, as I do, that we must cut the red tape that is stifling entrepreneurs and get our economy back on track, if you believe that we must stop the bottom feeders of my profession, but most of all, if you believe that this healthcare lawsuit is a fight that we must win, then I ask for your support and your votes. You know, in my heart of hearts, I'm a Ronald Reagan optimist, and I truly believe Florida's best days are ahead. So let's get busy and get to work so that the entrepreneurs of our state, like Fred, and all of you in this room, can get this state back to work. I cannot do it without you. I hope you will pick up our bumper stickers and our literature in the back of the room. And most of all, I hope you'll honor me with your vote on August 24th. Thank you all so very much.
Taking this